Fishing trips anywhere, anytime. FishingBooker.com. Want to plan your next fishing trip without the hassle? FishingBooker.com is the best way to find and book a fishing charter anywhere in the world. Whether you're chasing trophy fish or just looking for a family day on the water, Fishing Booker makes it simple, fast, and secure. With thousands of experienced guides, verified reviews, and 24/7 customer support, Fishing Booker takes the guesswork out of planning. Visit FishingBooker.com and book your trip today. Fishing Booker. Fishing trips made easy.
Explore historic waterways in 2025 with Scenic on the most inclusive cruise on Europe's rivers. Enjoy up to 5 dining experiences, spacious suites, and butler service. Be immersed in the culture with enriching free choice excursions and exclusive events. Scenic, in a class of its own. Book now and save.
Welcome to DSC's Campfires with Larry Weissoon, a unique blend of hunting, fishing, wildlife conservation, and the outdoor lifestyle. DSC's Campfires is brought to you by DSC, Conservation, Education, and Hunter Advocacy. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Taurus, award-winning revolvers and pistols. Stealth Vision, high-tech, precision-driven equipment for the modern hunter. Mossberg, American-built, American-strong. Vineyard Max, deer attractants created for the aroma of success, game feeders, and other innovative hunting products. Red 55 Winery, signature wines from the Emmy Award-winning country artist Miranda Lambert, owned by Rick and Beverly Lambert. Welcome to DSC's Campfires, and of all things, I am so very fortunate to be in the office today with Mr. Rob McCanna. Rob, you are with DSC now as the Executive Director, CEO of DSC and the DSC Foundation.
Boy, now you say it, I'm getting scared, Larry. I'm just glad you're here to help me hang my trophies on the wall, so I'm moving into my office. So.
Well, I thought that's where we might start today. You know, yesterday we had an opportunity to sit down and visit a little bit. You told me a little bit about your background, and I'm talking about not when you were with Remington or all those, but going all the way back. What got you into hunting?
I guess where you're born and your station in life is the best I can say it, and that's... growing up in northwestern Pennsylvania, small town.
Yes, sir.
Actually, it's even smaller today. The town I grew up in, when I grew up in it, was one stoplight. Well, now that one stoplight has 3 stop signs. It's not even a 4-way stop. It's got 3. The other way, you just take your chances. But no, growing up in a town like that where the outdoor style, it was part of life, and I've said this on a couple other podcasts, is I grew up in a situation where I knew what time of year it was by what I was either fishing for, what I was trapping for, what I was hunting for, what species. That's how you knew what time of year it was.
Absolutely.
And then it was also the heritage that you had. It was a family event, and when I say family, it's not, I mean, of course it's grandfather, it's father, it's brother, but it's also sister, it's mother, it's everybody is involved. The outdoors to us, when I grew up, it was not just a way of life, but it was done because you were putting things in the freezer, and those things you put in the freezer you ate. And that was to help with food bills.
Yes, sir. I was fortunate I grew up out in the country as well, too. To be very open with you, my granddad came by every morning. He was a county commissioner. He'd pick me up. We'd go dig worms and go fishing.
Yep.
And then we went squirrel hunting. We had deer. We hunted deer. But back then we had the screwworm flies. There were very few deer. If you even saw a deer, you felt so very fortunate. But I grew up in that outdoors to where, particularly in those younger years, when I first started school, I thought I'd died and gone to hell because I couldn't go out every day when I wanted to and I had to go to this blasted school. And I think that kind of created where I ended up with where I am today, and you as well too.
Yeah, and the greatest thing, and I do want to tell this story to you because the funny thing is, I grew up in that situation to where it was embedded into my soul, and that's what you live for, and the passion that is ignited in the outdoors and stuff. When you're 14 years old, you don't know conservation yet. you just know that you enjoy what you're doing and you're spending time with your family and the heritage and everything about it. And then I was very fortunate to go to college and get a job in the shooting sports industry. And there's only one reason I ended up in the shooting sports industry. It was the love of hunting and everything that went along with that. And I did that for 35 years, where the more you get involved in the shooting sports industry and move up the chain and become an executive and do all these things, the less and less time you have for the passion that you had for when you went outdoors. That seems totally different to a lot of people.
But it's not.
No, it removes you away. God bless people like you that have found a way to stay in the outdoors and enjoy that passion. But a lot of us...
To a point.
Yeah, but a lot of us, we got more and more removed from it. It's embarrassing for me to say that there was years that I maybe spent 5 days in the field. That was it. And that's just not right when you get to a certain stage of your life, when you love it that much. So the opportunity came up with Dallas Safari Club. I was not looking for a job. Not even close, Larry. And in fact, you and I met at the gala for the foundation last summer.
Yes.
And I was just there with a friend and talking to people, and I guess it ignited some conversation behind the scenes where I got ambushed and people told me that they wanted to bring me into this position. But at first, when I was very honored and very humbled when those conversations started with DSC, but I was very happy with Walther Arms. I had just been there. I'd only been there for about 4.5 years. I went in and put a team together. We were doing some great things, launched some new products, and I was very happy with what I was doing. But the opportunity hits you, and like I said, I was honored and humbled. But as the more I thought about it, and I told people, I just don't think it's the right time. And then I'm driving from Texas back to Arkansas, and I called my wife and I said, I'm going to run something by you. And I said, things sort of happen for a reason sometimes. And she totally agreed with me, and she said, hey, you know that I'm here to support you, and whatever you want to do, we can do something. And I started talking to her, and I just said, I got into my whole career based on my upbringing and the passion and the love I had for the outdoors. And now I'm not doing it. And I said, I've also, over 35 years, been in a great industry, met some incredible people. We talked about Ray Mursky, a man that we both
I want to come back to some of that in just a little bit.
So we talked about people that we've known and been, that I never would have had the opportunity to meet if I wasn't in that industry. But what was my legacy going to be? I've been doing this for 35 years. And yes, everybody's going to know, hey, he was a great guy. He ran companies. He ran sales divisions. He ran marketing. He sold a ton of guns. He brought new guns out. He did some great things. But what's my legacy going to be? And I said, this is an opportunity going to DSC and DSC Foundation to actually use all those connections and the abilities and the things I've learned over the years through the corporate world, bring them over to a nonprofit side and make a difference and give back to promote that hunting heritage and the sustainability of conservation and everything else that comes with it.
Along those lines, if somebody will come to you now and say, what can I do to just explain what you just explained to us, what would be your advice to somebody like that? Where somebody says, I've done all this, and, how can I create a legacy? What can I do to create a legacy that'll be worthwhile, not only for myself, for my family, but for the surroundings as well, too, particularly in terms of hunting in the outdoors.
So
fishing in the outdoors, either one.
Very simple for me. Take a kid hunting or fishing.
That's the start, isn't it?
That's a start. Now, I'm going to expand on that because that was something I did a little bit early in my career in the shooting sports, is I still was able to have enough time. I always like to introduce people to the outdoors. And Larry, I've been fortunate enough to have people take their first whitetail sitting next to me from the age of 7. I've taken somebody who was 7 years old that shot their first whitetail. I've taken people that were 92 that shot their first whitetail. And in that whole gamut in between there, the one thing that was common between all of them was the total level of excitement and joy that happened, and the gamut of emotions that happened during the process, from tears to laughter to not being able to use their fingers to
exactly,
just everything that happens. And that's That's what I would say to answer your question is to have that experience and give anybody, a child, anybody that you take to the outdoors, any age, give them the opportunity to experience something that they've never experienced for the first time.
I think you're so absolutely right in all that. But like you, I've had the opportunity, not only my kids, my grandkids, but a lot of other kids, more so on the kids, a little bit on the adult side. I don't think I've ever taken a 92-year-old hunting for the first time.
He made a hell of a shot, too.
I can only imagine. But that's rewarding to us, but it creates memories and an understanding about life. And I think that to me is a big portion of what we do. Hunting is so very important for so many different ways, from a personal perspective to a habitat perspective to an animal perspective. But at the same time, it's doing something that's worthwhile, that everything benefits from.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right, and it knocks down walls, it breaks barriers, it unites people in a way that, and I'll go back to this because hunting can be controversial sometimes. Let's open up there. To the people that I grew up with, that was never a problem.
No.
The people you grew up with was never a
sir.
problem. I lived in the city of Philadelphia for a short time. When I'd be in business settings with my wife and talk about what I did in shooting sports or hunting, it was like I had three heads. So there's a lot of people out there that don't understand how we were raised and what the hunting heritage is about. And I've been able to take some of those people and expose them to it, starting maybe with even shooting and breaking your first clay target and getting them used to a firearm, because they see a firearm as a bad thing because they've never understood, because they grew up in a city.
Right.
Their understanding of firearms is all about crime and something that's bad. And when you expose them to it, and you see, I've had people that told me they would. I'm thinking of one thing that's just popping in my head here, is a lady that I hired into Remington when I worked there, and she had been in the shooting sports industry. She had left, and I brought her back in, and she had always told me, I like the shooting sports, but I could never kill an animal. And she was one of the people I sat with that shot her first whitetail with me.
Yes, sir.
And the fingers thing, that was one thing I said. She couldn't use her fingers
really?
to text afterwards. But the excitement that was there, but outside of all of that, is the life change that it made for her. And I look at the things and I see her today, and I'm not in as much contact with her. I know she's still in the industry and I don't talk to her as much, but when I do see things on Facebook and social media, she's out hunting turkey, she's out fishing.
Oh my goodness.
She's doing all these things.
Yes, sir.
That one moment in time that we shared in a deer blind when she shot her first animal has totally changed her life, to the things that she does. And I'm sure the people that she's talked to and brought into the industry on top of that and exposed to the outdoors after the experience we had together, that's a success story. And those are the things that we have to hang our hat on that aren't happening as much as they need to.
You're right. You bring up the women in the sport, and to me, in a utopian world, half the hunting and fishing license will be sold to men and the other half will be sold to women. For years, I've done a seminar in consumer shows and a few other places, and the title of which is Never Take a Woman Hunting. Mm-hmm. And I love it because you have a lot of ladies that come in and then they look like they're fixing to tear you apart. How dare you say? And then I go into this deal about how women actually are natural born killers, and they're much better hunters than any man I've ever been around, better shots and all that.
Well, let's just face it, they take direction better than any of us.
They really do. They really do. It makes all the difference in the world with, as far as hunting is concerned too. With like the Texas Wildlife Association, one of the things that we've done is through the youth hunting program, where we've taken almost 40,000 kids hunting. There has to be a parent, a guardian. And so very often that parent or guardian, particularly the parent, is a woman. It's the mother. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing how to watch that child and also that mother, how their entire attitude about different things change, and how they have now a better understanding about why you have to have hunting, what all that means, kind of thing. So, and to me, that's part of talking about DSC and the DSC Foundation. Been involved with DSC for many years. That's one of the things that we've been pretty darn good at, but not as good as what we need to be.
Exactly right. And That's one thing I've noticed since I've come on board here. And there was a lot of things DSC has done over the last, let's say, the organization has been around for 40 plus years.
Yes, sir.
There's been a lot of change in 40 plus years.
Amen.
It started out as a club. It's still in the name, Dallas Safari Club.
Yes.
And it has grown to something much bigger than that on a worldwide basis. That a lot of people don't understand that Dallas Safari Club is a worldwide organization and has its fingers into conservation at all levels, all over the world. And those are the things that we've got to understand is how do we continue getting that message out and telling people that we are a worldwide organization and expanding on all the areas of conservation and not so much just the hunting part of it, even that's a big part of it. There is other parts of it.
Oh, absolutely.
So
to me, DSC has been one of those candles that's had a cover over it a long time where there's just a little bit of light peeking out every once in a while. And we've done not a great job in any means at all of letting people know about it.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to try to change that. That's what I'm here to do. That's going to be, as I said about a legacy I want to leave, I want to change some things. It's, hey, you've heard this. It's very cliche. When you come to some place as a leader, you always want to leave it in better shape when you leave than when you got there.
Yes, sir.
And that's all my intentions are to, if we can focus on the fact that we tell the story of what Dallas Safari Club is so people understand what it is and the reach is a worldwide reach, we can expose more people to the hunting heritage and educate people and bring them into it and get that next generation.
Yes, sir.
And it doesn't have to be the like we said, it doesn't have to be the children.
No.
Let's face it, Larry, you and I are getting a little long in the tooth here.
Well, I know this side of the table is.
but we are. But that's the unfortunate thing about not only the hunting world, the shooting world, everything that has to do with it. The demographics are getting older. And when I say bringing new people into it, I mean 20, 30, 40-year-old people are new people.
Amen.
And that's the generation. That's what I see as myself is I look at the people who are in their late 40s, early 50s now. That seems to be where it ended. The stuff that I remember and the people that were brought into it as a lifestyle and a heritage. And that mid 40s down is where we're missing the boat right now.
Yes, sir.
And I think it's society, it's technology, it's everything's changed in the world that group sort of got left out. And if it was for time that their parents didn't have time to take them or whatever it was, there is a gap there. And we've got to re-engage those people.
We do. To me, that's really kind of the most important part of that gap that we need to fill is that age class. Because again, if you can get those folks hunting it or fishing or an understanding of the outdoors, the kids will follow. Yes. I mean, there may be a few rebellious kids that don't want to do it, but at the same time, it's amazing, I think, the number of people that could come on board as far as the outdoors are concerned. And to me, a lot of times, I love the term wildlife conservation. Conservation is the wise use of. Mm-hmm. And I usually tell people that conservation promotes life and preservation promotes death. And when you get right down to it, from a habitat and a species where you're going after one species without anything concerned about the others. To me, the wolf situation is kind of like that. We've reintroduced the wolves. My God, we've preserved the wolves. But guess what we've done in the meantime? We're pretty much destroyed everything else that was out there. So to me, that's kind of an example of preservation kind of thing. You've covered a lot of what I was going to, one of the questions to you that I was going to ask is, if somebody asks you, what is DSC? What is Dallas Safari Club? What your answer would be? You've really kind of answered pretty much everything there, but is there anything that you can think of in the meantime? If somebody asks you, said, well, what is DSC?
So I'm going to take probably a different answer than you're going to expect.
That's what I was hoping.
This is going to be a very different answer probably for your listeners too. Because it's different for me as I made a big change to come from the corporate world over to the nonprofit
side.
Sir. What is DSC? It's something very special. That sounds like a cliche answer, and I've said cliche a few times. But when you see what DSC is, it's people like you, Larry. It's like all these other people. I'm going to an event tonight where we are going to thank we call it the DSC 100. 100 volunteers. You heard I said volunteers. I've heard the word volunteer all my life. And I don't think I really had a grasp of what a volunteer was until I came to DSC at the beginning of this year. This organization, why I say it's so special, is people probably don't think of DSC. They think of DSC as a big, big operation. I've got a staff of 14 people in this building, Larry, but I've got 30,000 volunteers out there.
Yes, you do.
That when I say volunteer, these are people that give their time, some people 40, 50, 60 hours a week doing things that they're not getting compensated for. And on top of that, they're donating not just their time, their own personal funds. They're out doing other things to raise money. They're doing things for the organization to make DSC, to say what it is, and I say something special. It's an organization that does so much good that it doesn't tell about, that we've got to get that news out there so we can get the people engaged and get them back involved and get all this negativity of like-minded organizations trying to compete against each other instead of working together, but taking special organizations, because DSC isn't the only one. There's other organizations out there that are big in conservation, but DSC is the one I'm focused on right now. And the organization is so special from what it does and what it can do and the reach that it has to make a difference and preserve things for not just our generation, but the next generation after that. And if we don't, and we don't get together with these other organizations, the other organizations that are against us out there and against our way of life, they don't have that problem of uniting. And they're going to come after us. And we've got to make sure that we strengthen ourselves and do everything we can to make sure that they can't accomplish their agenda and we do accomplish ours.
Amen. Amen. I think that's so very important, just everything that you mentioned. And I love your perspective on things. And to me, you're right. This is such a very special group. The DSC 100, I can remember when it was strictly 100 volunteers. Yeah. And now I think our 100 is now to about 500 or something like that. So we kind of look at it, well, it's the DSC 100%.
Yes.
And it's amazing the number of hours and the number of days, months, money that these volunteers put into this organization, and it becomes so very important to them. And two, in a lot of different ways, I've always talked about our annual convention as a big family reunion. Mm-hmm. And it's a reunion of friends that you have. It's a reunion of friends that you're going to have before you leave that convention as well too. Looking forward into the future, what do you see? We talked a little bit about this, but what do you see that DSC should be done, needs to be done, and how can we get members more involved? And more particularly, perhaps, how can we get people how do we make people more aware of DSC across I've been places where I go, DSC, what is it? And I talk to them about it a little bit. Well, I didn't know they existed. So how do we cover some of those things?
Well, the biggest thing we can do is get them to come to an event.
Yes.
If we can get anybody out there that doesn't know anything about us or does know something about Dallas Safari Club to come to one of our events. We have all kinds of events. And I mean, of course, there's the annual convention. We have a summer expo and gala that's going to be at the Gaylord Texan this year in July. But we also have a lot of other events. We have a big boar shoot. We had a crawfish boil. We have a lot of these things where people can come and see what DSC is about. So I think the exposure and getting the word out and having just people, if you're interested or even if you have a little bit of curiosity, come and see what we're about. And the one thing I will tell you is I've never met a person at any of the events, even when I wasn't on board with DSC, that wasn't one of the friendliest people that you ever wanted to talk to, that wasn't
Amen.
Welcoming, that didn't ask you if you could help you or had any questions or just take you around and show you something. That's where I think where DSC needs to go, to answer your question, is to get people engaged through finding out and exposing them to what we do, and that we are a group of like-minded people that are very welcoming and want more people to come into the thing. And it can become a different thing for you, a different group of peers and a different group of people that you can spend time with, that, as you and I said, the people we've met over the years, they become lifetime friends
Yes,
and
sir.
not acquaintances.
Exactly. One of the things I think that we're doing real well right now is our chapter program. I've had the opportunity to speak to several of the chapters here as of late and for their banquets that they're having. And that we have chapters pretty much all over the U.S. right now. And I'm thinking we're expanding before too very long into some of the other areas as well, too. And so they can go to our website, which is biggame.org, and it's biggame.org, and they can see where these chapters are, and they can become involved there as well, too.
Right, and the other side of that is if they look and there's nothing in their area, they can go to the DSC website and reach out and say, hey, we're kind of interested in starting our own chapter, and we would be willing to look at that too.
Amen. And each one of them is a 501(c), their own organization. But the beauty of it is, of their major fundraiser, their primary fundraiser, and they can have several, but their best fundraiser, they get to keep 75% of the funds that they raise. 20% goes to the DSC Foundation, but guess what? They get to determine where that 20% goes. So there's only a 5% of that one big fundraiser that goes to DSC proper, and that's to help with guys like Bruce and Mike and a bunch of other things. And I've been involved in all kinds of organizations. There's never been an organization that I know of where 95% of the dollars from your best fundraiser and 100% from your smallest ones, you determine where they go. So that's a huge plus just within the chapter system.
Not your typical franchise, is it?
No, sir. not by a long shot. You were at Remington for a long time, and I want to come back to that, and then I want to talk a little bit about the gala, or gala, depending on, I guess, whether you're from the south or the north.
Yeah.
I really don't care how you pronounce it. And maybe we've got an event coming up as well, too, or maybe we do have an event coming up in August at the Conroe Taxidermy. Mm-hmm. But you and I shared numerous friends at Remington, and quite frankly, I knew of you for a long time before I ever had a chance to meet you through Greg Simons, who now sits on our board as well, too. Mm-hmm. That was a great organization years ago.
Oh, yes, it was. Went through a lot of changes. I was there. I was blessed to be there through 17 years, believe it or not.
Yes, sir.
17 years I worked for the organization, and it went through a lot of changes from, like we said, the good old boys,
yes,
to private equity, to changes, to bankruptcy, to everything.
To the whole 9 yards.
Yes.
Well, during those years when you were there, I had so many friends at Remington, and I go back to the days when Dick Dietz was the PR guy, and then went through a bunch of others over the years, and particularly even starting before I was on the staff with Shooting Times. But I'll say this much: thank you so much for being here. And I know I speak not only for me, but every DSC member I've talked to here as of late. We're so proud that you're here, and I know it. I feel I know what you're capable of, and I see changes all to the good every day I turn around. So thank you for doing that.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, it's an honor, a privilege to be here, and we're going to look to leave things better than they were when I got here.
Amen.
That's the plus, and I tell people I'm getting a lot of thanks already. Like you just thanked me. I'm not worthy of it yet. I keep telling them, give me a year. Let us get through convention next year, and after convention next year, if they still want to thank me, then we'll know we're on the right path. So,
well, I think we're on the right path even there, quite frankly. But let's talk a little bit. We'll come back at another time and talk about this coming February, but which is going to be our convention, our DSC convention. But we got something special coming up with the gala in July, the 17th through 19th of July at the Gaylord Texan Resort in Grapevine, I guess, or close to Dallas here.
Yep, it's real close to Dallas. For people that are from outside of Dallas, I actually looked at this because I just moved here, so yes, I'm still finding my way around.
Yes, sir.
But it's 4.8 miles from the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport is where the Gaylord Texan is. So anybody that needs a landmark to say, where's the Gaylord Texan, it's 4.8 miles from Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. So if you're flying in, I mean, it's an easy taxi ride. If you're in the Dallas area, you know which way to head and how to get there. But we're going to have a special event this year. We're real excited about it.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So it started with, for the last, and I might be wrong, but I think for the last 5 years, the foundation has had a gala.
Yes, sir.
And the gala was really a one-night event.
Yes, sir.
That came in and everybody got together and had some speakers and some awards were given and stuff like that. Well, the success of that over the years has really led to an opportunity to do something different. The success of the gala, and obviously the other side of it, let's talk about the lack of success we had in Atlanta at the convention in January due to weather and some other problems in the move to Atlanta. So the lack of success there and the success of the gala allowed us to create a new situation for people that couldn't make it to Atlanta to have the opportunity in the Texas area and all surrounding, all over the world can come in, but have the opportunity to come at a different time of year when there isn't a lot of shows, and we're putting on an expo. And to go with the gala and the events that go with the gala, we will have an expo and a full show floor for 3 days. And we are going to have, as of right now, about 450 exhibitors have already signed up. I think I'm a little light of that. I think there was 17 booths available as of yesterday.
Yes, sir. That's what I was told too.
So it's really close, but we're going to have a great bunch of exhibitors from all different categories that are very family friendly, and it's an incredible environment at the Gaylord. If you've never seen the property, it's just an amazing place for a vacation. The pools, the everything around there, so it's a destination also. But we're gonna have the expo. We're going to have the gala, and we're going to put a lot of different changes in. So we've really been working hard with the team here to say, hey, we've done a lot of these conventions, and everybody has. And how can we put a little twist on them this year to make them better and make some changes so it's not just, okay, I go to the show floor at night and I go to a banquet during the day, and then I go to a banquet at night and I sit there and eat some rubber chicken and listen to some speakers. We're going to put some fun into it. And there's even rumors with one of our exhibitors, there may be a luau night that we might have.
Oh, my gracious.
That could happen. That's now I'm getting ahead of myself.
It's just a rumor.
At this point.
Just starting, so okay.
Yeah. We're going to have some partnerships with other organizations we talked about. There's another situation. We may have a very high-ranking person from the NRA might be there speaking. So tying 2A people to the conservation effort and bringing us together. Those are some other exciting things. Hopefully some high-ranking political people will be there, and celebrities and things like that. So there's going to be a lot of things for everybody. But the bottom line of it is it's going to be a new event. It's going to be very exciting that allows us to do what we're here to do, and that's raise funds to support conservation. And on the foundation side and on the DSC side, this allows us to do a joint effort to do something at a fun time of year when there's not a lot going on, and do it in a different way to make a difference.
And a lot of publicity will be going out very, very shortly. By the time this airs, probably they'll already be seeing it. But they can, it's already on Facebook everywhere, and I'm sure on Instagram I've seen it there as well too. They can always go to our website, the biggame.org site, and learn a lot, or DSCF.org, which is the foundation's website.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, they're going to be seeing a lot of other things too. There's going to be print ads. There's going to be billboards. If you live in the Texas area or the Dallas area, starting probably about 15 days when May hits,
yes, sir,
you're going to get sick of seeing DSC Summer Expo stuff, because there's going to be logos, there's going to be TV ads, there's going to be radio ads, there's going to be print ads, there's going to be, I might be wearing one of those things, you're walking around in front of a restaurant.
Oh, yeah, the little placard thing.
Yeah, a little placard thing, put my head through it and walk up and down the street. I haven't signed off on that yet, but if they ask me to, I will do
Well,
that.
if you need help, you know where to find me, and I'll be right there. I'll go across the street the other way, so we'll catch them both ways.
Let's just do it in May before it gets too hot.
I agree with that.
No, so there's going to be a lot of information going on that. We're a little behind the 8 ball with me coming on board and being new this year. I would have liked to have started it probably about a month earlier, but the event isn't until mid-July.
Yes.
So we're going to see everything in May and June and right up to the event. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities. There's going to be membership specials that we're going to offer that basically are a pass-through for 3-year memberships, and getting basically a commemorative Dallas Safari Club knife that has a value equal to the membership, that if you buy it, you get a free knife at the event. There's going to be all other types of opportunities to take advantage of memberships and raffles and auctions, and it's just going to be a fun time.
It will be, we sat in yesterday on the DSC Foundation board meeting and looking at some of the auction items, and it is I don't even know how to describe from one end to the other what's going to be available. But I mean, there's hunts from literally all over the world, but also a lot of them from North America. And then, of course, our silent auction is going to be fantastic. There's maybe guns to women's jewelry to who knows what all is going to be there at this point.
And then outside of that, I mean, those are just the things that are going off in auctions and raffles.
Right.
We talked about the 450 exhibitors that are going to be bringing products and hunts and everything that they're going to have the ability on the show floor. That this is a show where people can go buy stuff.
Yes.
It's not just an auction. It's not just for DSC members. That's the other thing that I like to say. This is a big thing. A lot of organizations like us require membership to be involved to come to the show. We do not. And this is an opportunity for, as I said, for people to be exposed to Dallas Safari Club, that if you just want to bring your family and come spend a day with us and meet some nice people and see some great taxidermy on the floor and see some great vendors offering great products, I mean, you can come in and do that. And it's very reasonable. If you were to come for all 3 days, it's $60 for 3 days. If it's 1 day, it's $25. So, and there will be opportunities in this stuff we talked about starting in May that there's probably going to be discount tickets available out there through social media and through people that we have going out and promoting for us. So lots of excitement around that.
I can hardly wait, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be an absolutely great show, and I love the fact that the public's invited. As you said, it's not a member only. You know, we'd love for the regular public to come in and maybe leave as a member, and that is an opportunity that could be there as well, too. Because honestly, if you love the outdoors and you love anything from butterflies to beetles to snakes to whatever, there's a reason to be a member of DSC.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and now I got so much I want to say, Larry. We don't have enough time to do
Well, we'll
podcast.
come back and do it again very shortly.
But talking about that and talking about membership and the opportunities to buy membership, even if you're not, and if you do want to come, or even if you are a member, you're a 1-year member and want to upgrade to a 3-year member, 5-year member, lifetime member, whatever those opportunities are, there's another big thing that we're going to be doing that I really haven't told people, is if you come to the summer event and you buy a membership, that will automatically give you day passes to the convention that will be in Atlanta in February of next year. So we're going to tie it together to expose as many people as we can. And not only that, so I'm going to give a shout out to we talked about the NRA. I'm going to give a shout out to my partner of the NRA.
Please.
So next week is their annual convention in Atlanta. The same place that we just had our convention and we're going back to next year. We have partnered with them, and speaking of memberships, we are offering at the NRA convention that people can be exposed to both organizations, buy a 1-year membership for the NRA and Dallas Safari Club. Usually together it's $150 to get both memberships. If you buy that, it's $75, and you're a member of the NRA supporting 2A rights, and you're a member of DSC supporting conservation rights. And guess what? With that, you get the tickets back to Atlanta again. So if you say it's a $75 deal and you're coming back for 3 days passes in Atlanta, there's another $60. So you do the math. It's a pretty good deal to get two 1-year memberships and 3 days on a convention floor.
I'd say that's better than a pretty good deal.
Yeah. Plus I forgot, because you buy the NRA membership, you get into, if you buy it at their convention, you get into their convention. So that's on top of that too.
That's almost a steal when you get right down to it.
Right. So,
Rob, thank you so very much for joining us. I know that you've got some things coming up here very shortly you got to go do, and we've got the event coming up this afternoon.
We're hanging this deer on the wall, Larry.
I know. And I saw how you were putting the back thing on so we can hang it. I got a feeling it may take a little while.
As long as the wall doesn't come down,
we'll be successful.
We've won.
Well, I want to thank you so very much for everything you're doing for DSC Foundation, and actually the world of wildlife when you get right down to it because of those organizations. Look forward to seeing you later this evening. We've got the DSC, which we'll cover some other time, DSC 100. But Can't wait for the convention now coming up next February. But in the meantime, we've got the gala coming up in July, and really would like to see a lot of folks there, not just from Texas, but from all over. So come see us there. Thank you so very much for joining me this morning and all our listeners. And we'll see everybody right here around the campfire next time. And before too very long, I'll get back with Mr. Rob here, and we'll talk about some of the hunts that he's been on, talk about the deer head we're going to be hanging here in just a few minutes, and maybe a few other good things. Rob, thank you so very much for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity, Larry.
DSC's Campfires has also been brought to you by the Crown Bar in LaGrange, Texas, Texas Wildlife Association, Habit, Our Gear, Your Adventure, Double Nickel Taxidermy, and Burnham Brothers Game Calls.